Just going to do a very quick update. Still got my winter sowing there. Started on my pots and cleaning the patio here. So I have one planted up here, Bells of Ireland, because I have said in previous videos I really like pots of just glorious fresh Bells of Ireland. These all are still to do. A lot of these forget-me-nots will go out in the garden as I want to spread the forget-me-nots around. Got some snapdragons that have survived the entire winter. So that's all still a work in progress here, and I must get to painting this door and the garage door this year because it just, lowers the tone. But so busy. We'll get to it. Then I got these pots here which are done. These are my, I forget what the name of these are. These were the terracotta tulips that I did. Wait, I have some more of those as well. Oh, I put some down on the garden table. Now, I have some distorted pink pokers, and I don't know what those bulbs are coming up in there. Some forget-me-nots also. That is what is that one again? Viburnum in here. Now, obviously all my daffodils have come out, so they look kind of jolly next to the greenhouse there. But I said in a previous video, my verbascum and some of my sweet peas and a lot of my foxgloves, I had some, I think, white or apricot foxgloves here. They've all been eaten, and I realised what it was. I thought I didn't fill the raised bed enough, because remember, this was new. And I put sticks in the bottom, and I thought maybe the roots have reached air pockets, so they just have failed to thrive. But what it was I had this chicken wire over it to keep the dogs and the cats from using the bare soil before everything was growing. And what I noticed was the birds were landing on the mesh, but were not able to get to the slugs and snails here. So I had a bit of a resurgence of slug activity, which I haven't really had in this garden since going organic because of all the bird life here. They just get to work and make short shrift of all my enemy bugs. So obviously I've taken that off now, but I've lost a number of plants, but some have started to make a bit of a recovery there. So I may still plant some of those in the borders anyway. They were just really a holding bay for the verbascum and the foxgloves, but I do think that looks really nice, the daffodils there. Let's move on. Some of these pots are done, some still need doing. So for instance, that's probably just going to stay there, Sweet William Dianthus. That was definitely potted up with some tulips. I've put some, this is new, I've planted, direct sowed some feverfew in there, which I will either use in the borders, or depending on how they germinate, I may just leave them in the pot. This was the border I did last autumn. Quick recap. Spread out some alliums, spread out some forget-me-nots. Just to recap on the forget-me-nots, I used to just get them all here. So what I wanted to do is start spreading them out into this border and beyond, and then they'll establish and self-seed equally throughout the garden. Ditto with the alliums, which are these mob ones here. And then I did plant some Queen of the Night tulips, because they just look really good with the Bistorta pink pokers, which I also divided and spread, because I tend to get a big clump here, so I wanted more over here, so I divided those. I've got some Honesty white, I don't know whether they're white or purple, to be honest, it won't matter. Sweet Rocket, and those kind of wild glads, I forget their actual name, they're not supposed to be there, I'm supposed to have dug them up. Oh, I also spread Columbine around here too, and the rest of the garden, because the Columbine largely just gathered in this corner and this corner, and they looked really good, but I wanted to spread them so they would establish in other parts of the garden. Right, a nice little rose there with some white valerian. So here in my greenhouse, I was working on this yesterday. I've got my first ranunculus showing up. So this, no, I've got two back there. So this time I didn't pre-sprout my ranunculus. I've just put them straight into damp borders. One here in the greenhouse and then the other one there. And it's really cut out a huge job and space because I used to pre-sprout them upstairs in my garage, and then you pre-sprout them, that's a job in itself, putting the soil in the trays, blah blah blah, and then you have to go and plant them out, blah blah blah. And I just cut that all out. I soaked them for 4 to 6 hours, and then I just planted them straight out, and they're doing fine. I'll show you those in a minute. And then my snapdragons, I lost some. I mean, I really did kind of neglect the greenhouse over the actual deep winter months. So I've taken out what was just a bit rubbish. I've left things over there because they do survive, so I can still use them as backups. But as you can see, I've still got lots anyway, so that's fine. These will all branch out as well. And then I've got black cornflowers here. They were getting a bit full. They were only in one of those very shallow foil trays, and they were just, I could see some were starting to die where they just weren't getting enough root space. So I did pot up most of the healthier ones that remained. That was only yesterday, so some of them look better than others. Standing up, some of them are standing up nice. Others are still a bit floppy. Over here I have, you can see my delphiniums are now taking off. That's fantastic. I may top dress these before they go out to give them a bit more nutrients. The reason they're not going out is because I'm still working on these borders and it's been so wet, there's probably going to be a lot of slug activity, and they do love dahlias. In fact, going back to the slug thing, when I had these delphiniums on the floor here at the back where those bottles are, and I'll explain about those bottles in a minute, when they were on the floor, I was getting slugs eating them, which is why I lifted them up here. And on this sort of spiky wood, rough wood, they don't come up here. So the delphiniums. So I know there's slug activity, and I know they've already been noshing on these delphiniums. So these are definitely not going out yet. This is my Covent Garden Gypsophilia. Looking forward to that coming out. I trialled overwintering some Saponaria. Let me open my door, get in here. So I've overwintered these as well, but to be honest, it's been a relatively mild winter, so even the snapdragons outside have survived. This is Saponaria. Got a bit leggy, but as you can see, it's survived, but it's not really a fantastic specimen. What's also overwintered is Bells of Ireland, but again, just an experiment. They're not fantastic specimens, but now we know, obviously, they can survive. This, funny enough, I found a sunflower head in the borders when I was digging them over, so I just chucked the whole head in a pot, and here it is. And even though we've had frost, and this is an unheated greenhouse, look how well they are doing. So when did I start those? Probably about January. I did not expect them to survive. I don't know when I planted them up, but it was definitely in the dead of winter. And I was not really expecting anything, but here you go, there they are. Lots of Delphinium larkspur, which I would ideally like to start putting out. But the slugs, I don't know whether I'm ready to yet. This is a white musk mallow, so these definitely had to be repotted up. They were basically just running, they were yellowing because they were in one of those foil trays like these, and it was just too shallow for them. So they've been potted up, given a bit more space. This, whatever this was, I neglected it and it's all dead. We all have those trays, don't we? Well, I do, anyway. This is my phylacterum. So I'm happy that they're still going because I lost a whole pot here. I'm leaving it in case there's some late germinators this spring, because I don't know how many seeds I actually put in there. Sometimes you get they have a comeback, you know. So I am still leaving it for now. Always full of hope. So, yeah, more of the white musk mallow. These are the Achillea Love Parade. Now, these also had a bug. They started getting aphids again, because you're in the greenhouse. The birds don't come in here. I haven't seen a bird in here. So I have just been keeping my eye on these and squashing. There's one right there. Let me show you. Let's just zoom in. Can you see it there? Just on the side. I won't show you what comes next because, you know, like you, doesn't come easy to me, even squishing an aphid. I'm not even joking. I do not find that easy at all. I hear people cut slugs in half. That is just beyond my capability. I cannot do that. I would rather the birds had them and nature had its way. I cannot cut them in half like that. I've heard that before, and I know someone who does it, and I was actually horrified. You know, rights, human rights for slug rights, whatever. Anyway, oh yeah, over here, Cerinthe. So my Cerinthe, what happened with my Cerinthe was I started it too early in a heat wave last autumn. We had a mini heat wave and they shot up. I had to repot them really quickly into these different bottles. I think these bottles have been too warm in a way for them, because although they're like a sheltered spot, I think this may have been overkill with the bottles and inside the greenhouse. And, you know, as you can see, I've really only got one and I don't even know if that's even alive. So I just decided I'm going to clear all that off and abandon that and abandon them all. And I've actually sown some more, so they'll be fresher. And, you know, they'll be able to go out in a month, probably less than a month, to be honest. And I've also, because I didn't like the way the saponaria came out, I have actually also sowed more saponaria and some pink cornflowers, because we don't just want the black cornflowers, I want pink cornflowers. And so that is pretty much everything in here. Now, I have got a project coming soon because I need more space for my dahlias. I don't really want them in my garage on the window ledge, and I don't really want them in the house. So I'm going to do, probably over this space here, I'm going to do a heated mat for the dahlias. And I've got some heated cable. It was like 10 quid, which I thought was actually a bargain. Because I can use it to make a whole bed like this instead of those mats I bought from Amazon, which were like, I think 15 quid for a tiny little one. You'd be lucky if you could get 6 pots from it. And of course I got the indoor electrical cord plug socket, so I can heat that. And I think, yeah, as I say, I'll put them over there. That's the dahlias. Maybe even rig up some of those cheapo grow lights I keep raving about. That's the greenhouse. Let's move on quickly so this video doesn't get too long. We've got obviously some lavender either side of the greenhouse. The roses are pruned now. I did put some horse manure, although I regret that. I don't think the horse manure was good quality. I won't be doing that again. But I did go over again with some more bark chippings just to smarten it up. Could have done with cutting them down lower. And the reason I didn't was because of the greenhouse. I'm not sure how they're going to fare this year with the greenhouse. They would normally have a lot of sun. Obviously the sun can get through, but I don't know how much of that opaque greenhouse will affect the, you know, the quality of the light that the roses are getting. But that said, let's just go back to these pots here. Sorry, I've got a clematis here, which is probably going to get moved. A heuchera, honesty. Oh, I've got some more of the divided distorter pink pokers. So there'll be hopefully some balance between this border and as you go down the garden. Then I've got obviously some more of the forget-me-nots, which you'll find all throughout the borders now. And then, something that has been haunting me. The hedge has gone. I actually worried that the robin had gone, because it was definitely the robin's territory, but it could do with shaping up, so it needs to grow back. And when it grows back, I'm going to use my extender trimmer to make. And what I want is really nice kind of curvy shapes, like the box. So we have to wait for it to bush out before I can obviously deal with that. And you can't cut your hedge after the 1st of March anyway in this country because of the birds. They start nesting, obviously, which they're already showing signs of doing. Right, where do we go next? Well, let me just show you then. So, yeah, so, wow. I mean, you can see how much I cut off. Let's come round from another view. Oh, and let's have a look at my camellias now. In flower. This one that always comes a bit later, this one. I have a flower down there, look. So that is cute. That's going to be cute very soon, but you know, I don't know, I can't even fit that in the screen. There's a lot to deal with. Right, back under the rose here, which has also been trimmed. I've moved the old rotten bench and replaced it with my Victorian tables. Still have that. That's one of my projects, which I listed in my other video, my projects for 2024. Obviously, I use the ladder to get up here to trim the hedge, and so while the branches were falling down onto this area, they created a mess, which is a job to obviously catch up on. So the borders, 3 main borders. Hello cats. And then I did split this border. This used to be one border along here, but I am going to split it with a grass path so that this becomes kind of a bookend with that one there, with that border there. And then obviously at the back I've got my new hedge in there. And then so typically in each of these 3 main borders, and actually even the back one there, I've started, you can see how heavy the alliums are there. So I've been digging them up gradually, trying to spread them around each border. They're getting too big now. I know from experience, once they get to this size, they just make a mess if you try and move them. The leaves go all floppy and ugly. So I'm not going to move any more this season. But each border has alliums, forget-me-nots. I'm trying to establish the forget-me-nots over here. I've got Canterbury bells. Some have taken better than others. I think probably where I didn't work the soil with some mulch and compost, they have struggled a bit more because it's so clayey. I mean, it's so clayey. Look, I've lost the grass between, so I wanted to keep a grass path between them. I was very tempted to put gravel, but I'm going to stick with it. I think the grass will grow back. I really, really want the grass because I think too much gravel path is just gonna, it's gonna sort of depersonalize the garden and make it a little bit too unfriendly for wildlife, let's put it that way. Too unattractive on the eye. I do like a bit of gravel path, but I don't like the whole thing gravel. Some more tulips I don't remember planting, so they must be from last year. Bascums, I've self-seeded, Nigella, poppies, all that sort of stuff. I threw in the sweet peas. I was so out of time, but they are not bothered at all. Columbine, I spread the columbine around. Shasta daisies, all these things are in every border, except obviously the rose. That's a better Canterbury bell. That one's doing better. Yeah, some snapdragons. These just overwintered outside. So that's amazing. What a result. That's how mild the winter's been. Mild, but really wet. More Shasta daisies. And then we have the Sweet William dianthus in most of the borders, I think. Yeah, there's some there. Obviously, look, more sweet peas. I don't know why they're not growing in here, so I may chuck some more. I mean, I've got some, but they're not as densely growing there. Not sure why that is, but as you can see here, there's loads. So I don't know what that is. What else? I think that's it really. I mean, that's the, and then obviously we've got the pergola to do. Not ready to uncover the furniture yet, but some tidying still because of the hedge and the sort of the big jobs like that. I did see the robin, so he hasn't packed his bags. I was a bit worried he had. Oh, I've got to show you the ranunculus. Let's finish with the ranunculus. There's a rose cutting I took there. More, I didn't show you the peonies. There, there. There's a peony and there's a peony over this border here. And then in here, let's have a look at the ranunculus. Now, some of these overwintered, like this one here, so I just left it out. So up this end, I planted all the ones that had sprouted naturally. Here they are. Actually, you could do with watering, I think. There's some forget-me-nots. I'm going to leave those in. Those are marigolds, those little light green ones there. I did have some marigolds, but you can see the ranunculus in here. I know. The ones that I just soaked, I didn't pre-sprout. Let's go around the other side. As you can see, there's one right there. So they have just come. There's a marigold next to it, but I don't care. I'm going to leave the marigolds. I like a bit of unplanned activity. So they are really coming up. So it just goes to show that whole pre-sprouting in a tray was really just a waste of time, because they're just coming up. Anyway, let me show you this one. Let me show you this one. Oh, I hope I don't break it. Oh, I can feel the roots. Oof, I could feel I was really stuck in. There you go. I had to tear the roots then, so shouldn't have done that, but I did it for you. So there you go. It just pre-sprouted all on its own, and it's just doing its thing. I just have cut out an entire stage, which is just fantastic. I think that I'm going to, even though it's been absolutely torrential rain, and I'm sure on some level the groundwater comes up through, I am going to sprinkle on a bit of water on the top of these, and then, you know, just leave them again. I think the cover works. Hang on, let me just put the phone down. So I think the cover worked from the point of view of controlling the environment. Should it have got too cold or too wet and they would have rotted, this has helped me control that environment, and the same with the ones in here. Anyhow, there you go. That is the tour of my garden. So lots of things growing, as you can see, lots of activity, still some tidying from the hedge. I've got some projects to do with that wood as well. All this area here is a mess because I've been planting up. But yeah. So the whole idea, of course, of a biodiverse garden is that not only do you have lots of different plants, organic garden, I'm going to try and use, you know, things that I can make myself in the garden. So I'm going to make an obelisk, hopefully, with the yew wood, so that you're not buying in wood that has been farmed or, you know, felled from somewhere else. You're just using your own, as far as you can, your own products in the garden. Anyway, there we go. That's it.